Today we're talking about buying used dirt bikes and what I feel are the two most important things that you need to pay attention to when you are going to look at a possible purchase. In my opinion, there are two things to pay attention to. Each one of those things has several subcategories and we'll go over that. The first thing, judge that book by its cover. What do I mean by that? When you get to the place to look at the bike, take a good hard look at its overall condition. Are the plastics faded? Are some of the plastics missing? Are they stained? That could be a good indicator of it having lived a lot of its life outside uncovered. Not really a good thing. What's the condition of the radiator if you are looking at a liquid cooled bike? Most bikes these days, I think, are. Except for some of the smaller thumpers. Look at the fork seals. With the fork seals, what you're looking for is to see if there's any fluid on those lower legs that is built up around, like the brake caliper and stuff, has collected dirt and stuff like that. You want to look at the condition of the wheels themselves, see if they have any hardcore rock strikes or dents or dings in them. You want to look at the frame itself, the sections of the frame that you can see if there's any damage to the frame itself. An easy way to see if the subframe is bent, and the subframe is the part of the frame that holds up the rear end of the seat and the rear fender. If that subframe is bent, you can look straight down the back of the bike, and if you see that fender is twisted one way or the other, pretty good indicator that subframe is bent. Probably had a hard hit at some point in its life. Look and see if is the bike clean. If somebody is trying to sell a motorcycle and they don't even take the time to wash it when they're trying to sell it, when they're trying to make a good impression, they're not one that takes care of their bikes to begin with. And that, to me, is a big red flag. What else could be wrong with the bike internally? Look at the condition of the tires. That's not as big of a deal for me, or a red flag. I mean, if the tires are worn down, that just means, it's time for new tires. Not a big deal. If it has new tires on it, such as mine did when I went and bought it, that's kind of a plus for me anyway. Look at the condition of the chain and the sprockets. Are they in good condition? One of the things you want to look for in the sprockets is, do they still have a lot of meat left on the teeth, or are they really skinny and maybe even a little bent over, like what people call that shark tooth look? If that's the case, even if the chain looks good, it's probably not good, and the sprockets and the chain will need to be replaced. Has the chain and the sprockets been cleaned and lubricated? You're looking for like surface rust. You want to take the chain, you want to bend it in different spots, make sure it doesn't have any kinks or stiff spots where maybe the O-rings have fallen out and gook has gotten in there and the chain's just old, time to replace it. You want to look at the condition of the bars, see if they're tweaked in the triple clamp or anything. Make sure that the front fender is aligned with the front wheel, because the whole mechanism, the forks could be twisted or something, or worse yet, the forks could actually be bent. Now, the second thing you want to pay attention to is the nitty-gritty stuff. What I mean by that is the actual mechanical stuff. You want to pop that dipstick and check the oil. What's the oil level, and what is the color of the oil? If it's dark black, definitely time to do an oil change. If it's like a darker brown, that's all right. That's not a big deal. Now, if it's brand new oil, why did the owner just change the oil when he's planning on selling the bike anyway? That would make me a bit suspicious. Not a deal breaker, but I'm going to be asking more questions of the current owner, more leading questions, to see if maybe I can trip them up and get them to say something they may not want to say on the condition of the bike, right? You want to make sure that there's coolant in the radiator. When you're looking at the radiator, you want to see how many. There always will be some rock strikes in the front, even if that radiator has a protector over the front of it. You're probably still going to have some rock strikes. But more importantly, what you're looking for is areas where somebody has taken JB weld and shoved it into those fins. That means there was a leak at one point, and instead of doing the job properly and either having the radiator repaired or replacing it, they just took JB weld and jammed it in there to fix the leak. That's a stopgap fix to get you home. That's not the right way to fix that. You want to hit those front brakes and really shove down on the forks and listen for any air bubbles, or see like maybe it sounds like it's sucking air or something. Could be low on fluid in the forks. You want to see if there's any stiction, like it's sticky when it's coming down or coming back up. Could need bushings or the seals replaced at that point. It also will tell you what the condition of the compression and rebound valving is. If it's really springing back, but they have the compression and rebound stuff actually adjusted and it's still doing that, those valves are shot and need to be replaced. Same thing with the rear shock. Dirt bikes are a little bit lighter, so don't be afraid to just pick up that rear end and drop it and see how it reacts when it drops. While you're looking at the suspension in the nitty-gritty phase, don't forget to look at the linkage for the rear shock. Now, one of the first things you should do with that is, with the bike on its side stand, just take the bike and you want to be next to it, and without lifting it up off the ground, you just want to get it to where the rear shock is at top center, so it's at full travel, and just let it down and rock it back and forth a little bit, and use your hearing and your sense of touch to see if you can feel any clicking or you can hear any clicking in that rear linkage to see if it's loose. Could just need to be lubricated, or you may need to start replacing bushings and bearings in the rear linkage for that rear shock as well. You want to look at the condition of the fuel lines, all the cables, the clutch cable, the hydraulic lines for the front and rear brakes. You want to look at the throttle cable particularly, make sure it's not frayed or kinked or anywhere. You want to actuate the throttle and the clutch and make sure it moves smooth and it doesn't feel gritty. As an addendum to the nitty-gritty section of this, I would always suggest whenever you go in to look at a possible purchase, do it in the daylight and try to do it on a nice day when it's not raining. Rain and cloudy days can really cover up some stuff, then you could miss some things on a bike. One other thing I would suggest highly is take a flashlight with you, because you're going to need to, even on a sunny day, you're going to need to get down into the engine and even underneath the bike and have a look back in all the nooks and the crannies and see if there's dirt buildup or cracks, dents, and things of that nature. Those were my two main things with subcategories to look for when buying a used dirt bike.